Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Kristen Perry, and I'm an Impact Investor Program Manager here at Spring Activator. Excited to welcome everybody here to our Entrepreneur Info session for the Ontario Impact Investor Challenge. And so for those of you that are new to Crowdcast, please introduce yourself in the chat on the right-hand side. Let us know, where you're joining from, what company you're representing. As well, we'll be going through, multiple aspects of the program today, but there is a feature here in the chat box where you can ask a question at the bottom of your screen. It'll say ask a question. So feel free to leave questions in there throughout the information session, and we'll be sure to help answer the questions that are in that question section. Let us know how you're doing in the chat. And so before we jump into today's session, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that we're located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and which is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. I myself am joining us from Toronto on these lands, and I know many of us are joining in virtually as well today, so recognizing all the lands that we're calling in from virtually as well. Quick overview of what to expect. So we'll go through a little bit of a welcome. For those of you that are new to Spring Activator, we'll let you know a little bit more about the organization and the work that we do. After that, I'll go through the program, and so what actually is the Ontario Impact Investor Challenge and how you can get involved. And then, of course, we'll make sure to save some time for questions at the end as well. So, of course, as I said, I'm Kristen from Spring Activator. At Spring, we exist to change the world through innovation. At Spring, a lot of the work that we do is at the intersection between impact investing and impact entrepreneurship. We are a 1% for the Planet member and a certified B Corporation. At Spring, we do work in over 50 communities across the globe. Our team comes from, is based in Vancouver, but we also have team members like myself in Toronto. We have some team members in the US as well as Singapore. Some of the most recent work that we've been doing globally is in Sarajevo, Guatemala, as well as Jordan, working with a lot of the local innovation ecosystems, impact funds, accelerator programs around the world. As I said, we worked in over 50 plus global communities, but is based in Canada. We've trained over 1,500 alumni, entrepreneurs, and investors, supporting over 500 companies through our Impact Startup Visa programs, our entrepreneur acceleration programs, and have helped companies raise $30 million through our impact investing programs. You can see a sample here of some of the other team members that I am joined with at Spring. As I said, coming from multiple locations across Canada and the globe. A quick thank you to all of the team members behind the scenes, Selena and others that are helping to run today's information session as well. And of course, a huge thank you to our year-round sponsors, DLA Piper, Inc. LLP, Tandem, Genesis, MNP, Active Impact, and Carl Jung. These are the sponsors that help us put on these programs for entrepreneurs and investors and support the work that we do. And so before we jump into the Ontario Impact Investor Challenge, what actually is the IIC, the Impact Investment Challenge? And so at Spring, we have run quite a few of these impact investor challenges in the past, but the structure that these follow is typically we get around 100 company applications. Our team and our partners select 15 companies to participate in the program. And then the investor cohort actually takes those 15 companies and they select them down by going through due diligence and listening to their pitches to 5 finalist companies. So while we have a cohort of about 15 companies at the start of the program, we also typically have somewhere between 15 to 30 or so investors that are also a cohort taking part in the program. So we have both the companies and the investors, and those investors pre-commit to a pool of capital at the start of the program. And so they all bring their money together to invest around $100,000 total. That's created into a special purpose vehicle and is invested into the one winning company at the end of the program. Those finalist companies go through a due diligence process with those investors. These investors, I'll go through more about them in a second, but a lot of them are newer to angel investing, but many are more experienced angels as well that have sector knowledge and expertise to really dig in and support and provide introductions beyond just investment to the companies. So the format of this program is 11 weekly sessions, and those sessions are 2-hour weekly sessions with content. We bring in guest speakers. There's time to network and chat with the other investors and the other companies. And throughout those 11 weeks here, you can see on the bottom, we start in that application period, which we're in right now. Orientation and prep for those that are selected to participate in the program is September and October. Those 15 companies will pitch at our public pitch event on October 26th, where they'll get to pitch in front of our spring community, as well as an audience that typically joins around 300 people or so. And then the investors will live vote, and they'll vote from those 15 to take it down to 10 companies that continue on. Those 10 companies then come back to the investors in a private pitch session, and those investors take the companies from 10 to 5 finalist companies. You can see the core of the program here from October to November is training and due diligence. So that's when we have the bulk of those weekly sessions. And the investors also break up into due diligence teams that are each assigned to the finalist companies. And they go through the due diligence process and create investment memos on the companies. And so with all this due diligence that they've done into the companies, as well as by pitching at our finale event on December 14th, which is another public pitch event where our whole community comes out to support, and also for other investors to take a look and see what types of companies are pitching. Then the investors pick the winner. And so while there's one direct investment at the end of the program, there's many, many winners throughout. What we end up seeing is quite a network effect of investment into the other finalist companies, introductions to potential pilots or customers from some of the investors or those in the audience, and support and mentorship through the due diligence process and building out your data room, understanding what it's like to go through the investment process with investors asking questions, and really getting a roundtable of building connections both with the investors, but the other companies in the cohort too. So the goals of the program at the end of the day, the Impact Investor Challenge is a hands-on training program. Investors and entrepreneurs learn hand in hand together what it means to receive investment and for the investors to invest. It is an experience where you'll learn, the investors learn a little bit more about their investment ideas, but more than an experience, it's also putting their capital into action, and so they'll actually make an investment into the company. And of course, it's a unique sharing and community building experience where you get to, learn alongside a group of investors as well as another group of companies that are all around the same stage and geography as you as well. And as I said, it's an opportunity for action. And so act on your intentions as investors to make a difference in their community and world, and a time for action from the entrepreneurs in the room as well to be able to really scale their impact and seek investment through the program. So these Impact Investor Challenges, we've run over 8 Impact Investor Challenges now to date over the past couple of years. Through that, we've trained over 160 impact angel investors. 170 companies have been featured throughout this program, 38 of those companies being finalist companies that have gone through the due diligence process and gotten a chance to pitch at that final demo day. Over $970,000 has been made in direct investments through the special purpose vehicles that we create with these angels, but over $15 million has been catalyzed in investments through the network effect of the program. You can see some of the past winners here. I'll dig into a couple just to show you some examples. But our most recent winner, we say, typically the pool is around $100,000. With our most recent winner through our Health Impact Investor Challenge this spring, the investment was actually $350,000. And so we offer up for our alumni and other investors to join so that pool of money can be more significant. In terms of the content that you'll get exposed to throughout the program, these are some of the sample topics that we cover each week. And so overall of the impact investing landscape, what does the ecosystem look like? Who are the different players? We go through investment evaluation and due diligence. And so parts of that is helping to build out your data room and due diligence folders, understanding what investment vehicles and terms you should be expecting, Q&A with investors, how to navigate that process. We also talk about impact, of course, being the Impact Investor Challenge. And so we help you to develop your impact thesis and figure out how are you going to measure impact. And same for the investors, they'll kind of dig into some of those components too. And throughout the process, you'll actually go through a valuation and negotiation process with the investors to land on agreed on set of terms if you're chosen as the winner. And then, of course, post-investment. So if you were to receive the investment, what sort of communications or relationship would you have with these investors beyond just monetary after the investment closes? So the actual investment, and so you might be wondering, how is that structured? So with this program in December, there'll be around $100,000 invested into one winning company at the end of the program in December. The exact amount of the investment depends on final investor commitments. And so as I said, we typically have somewhere between 15 to 30 investors that commit and join the cohorts. Depending on the investors and how much they each commit, that pot will vary. And we also allow alumni investors to take part in the investment as well. The investments are made through what is called a special purpose vehicle and is run through the Spring Holding Company and created and funded for this program. And the way that the investment is presented, it's one investor on the company cap table, the capitalization table, and the terms are set on an individual company basis. And so what that means is because it's created through a special purpose vehicle, it's only one line item on your company cap table as opposed to many small holding angel investors that are each listed individually. And so we also say here the terms are set on an individual company basis. And so we're not going to impose a particular set of terms or investment vehicle. Sometimes companies will come in and they already have part of their round that they're raising subscribed. And so they just take those terms that have been set into the program. Sometimes the SPV is the first investment into that company. And so we'll need to figure out what the terms in the vehicle look like. So there isn't a preset set of terms or vehicle that we ask the companies to use. And this is because it really is like real life, finding what makes the most sense for both the company and the investors throughout this program. And so selection criteria. So what does an ideal applicant look like in terms of entrepreneurs and those in the room that have been intrigued so far? This is probably one of your biggest questions here of what are you looking for from companies? And so within the Ontario Impact Investor Challenge, we're looking for impact companies. And so what does that mean? You would be an impact-driven company that has some sort of measurable impact for either social or environmental outcomes. And we typically ask you in the application process to map some of those outcomes to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and align yourselves with what areas of impact you might see yourself helping with. And so mission-driven, impact-focused companies. We're also, of course, at an early stage, a lot of investors will say one of the biggest pieces here is team. And so we're looking for strong team commitment and diversity. And so either, your team and your co-founders are full-time or you're looking to go full-time soon. Diverse team, both in terms of skill sets, experiences, backgrounds relevant to your business, but also diversity in the makeup of your founding team and your core leadership team members too. In terms of stage of the company, we're looking for pre-seed to seed stage companies. And so what this means is you're raising that pre-seed seed stage round, and indicators of traction could vary depending on the industry. And so we're looking for sector agnostic companies. And so you could be a healthcare company, you could be a climate company, education, food and ag, you could be anything kind of impact focused, any of those sectors. And so those indicators of traction showing what stage you're at might vary, of course, if you're a medical device company or if you're an education digital company. And so whatever kind of fits within that pre-seed seed stage bucket that you have traction, maybe early revenue, pilots, some sort of validation to what you're doing is what we'll be looking for. And along with stage, of course, investability. And so most of the companies in the program are looking to raise at a minimum 100,000, because that's what this investment is going to pool to. But it can go up to, some of the companies are raising 2 million or 5 million for their total rounds as well. And this program, being the Ontario Impact Investor Challenge, is regional to Ontario, Canada. And so both the investors and the companies should be based in Ontario. You can have team members located elsewhere, but your company should be based in Ontario. And all of the investors are also based in Ontario and joining from the region. The company will have some of a hybrid model, and so there will be some in-person opportunities, but it will be a mostly virtual program. So just to give you a picture of what some of the past winners look like. And so here's one of our past winners, Moment Energy. They won our 2021 National Impact Investor Challenge. And so this was a company, a program that was open to companies across Canada, any sector that's impact focused. And Moment Energy, they're a BC-based clean tech startup. They create clean, affordable, and reliable energy storage systems by repurposing retired electric vehicle batteries. Their second life energy storage systems help utilities, microgrids, and commercial customers improve grid reliability and replace fossil fuel consumption with renewable energy. So through the Impact Investor Challenge, they raised $100,000 invested from the IIC investors, and they went on to raise a significantly larger portion of their round immediately after the Impact Investor Challenge. Pretty recently, they actually announced a supply agreement with Mercedes-Benz for their second life electric vehicle batteries. And this is really significant because it was the first agreement Mercedes-Benz had signed with a North American provider. And so you can see the types of companies here that have participated in the program, done really well, and have gone on to really continue to scale and raise significant more money here. And Samreen, who's a co-founder and took part in our program here, talks a little bit to her experience in the Impact Investor Challenge, really around the confidence that the program was able to provide her through going through the due diligence process, getting tons of questions from the investors throughout the program, giving them confidence to be able to, answer and ask the right questions to investors and deal with those tough questions from investors over time, really set them up for success for raising future capital. And of course, another past winner, our most recent winner through the 2022 Health Impact Investor Challenge that was presented by the TELUS Pollinator Fund for Good. We have UVX, and UVX has built the world's first intelligent sealing device that's 6 times more effective than chemical disinfectation and 7 more times effective than air purifiers with HEPA filters. So they disinfect air and surfaces using a form of light that's safe for human exposure, but kills pathogens. And so even when people are present. And so a healthcare company, they received $300,000 in investment from the Health Impact Investor Challenge, which included many physician angel investors. And so this was also a national impact investor program. So companies were coming from all across Canada, specifically within the healthcare industry. And so we had many physician angel investors taking part in the program. And you can see here a little bit of what Kunal had to say about the program. Really working with a wide range of investors with experience in healthcare, medical doctors, decision makers, so different types of people with that sectoral knowledge in the program, really gave them a unique experience throughout the program and a perspective that they feel they wouldn't receive anywhere else. And so, the winning the challenge has really put them towards the next step of commercialization to continue to scale their impact. And so this is just a few quick case studies of some of our past winners. And on our website, we have more information about some of the previous winners too. So next steps, if you like what you hear, you think you might be at the right stage, this could be a program that you're interested in. The company application deadline, and so the date that you have to apply by is September 16th to be considered for the program. We will be announcing the top 15 companies that are participating in the program around September 23rd. And so you can find the application link here in the chat in the next second. You can also find it on our website too. And so feel free to apply directly on the website. On the website, we also have a program package specifically for founders and entrepreneurs looking to apply. It has a lot more information about the program and shares some of the details that I've talked through here today as well. And if you have any more specific questions, you can always reach out to me by email too, kristen@spring.is. Or connect with me on LinkedIn that was shared earlier. The program itself, the founder orientation session will be September 28th. So that'll be the first session for the companies. And then the weekly sessions of the program will begin mid-October. So that's the next steps here of the program itself. Really, at the end of the day, it's an opportunity, of course, to raise capital as a company, but really the community building and being a part of the Spring community for a lifetime, access to investors, and the network effect that really comes through the program is what's quite magical about the entrepreneur experience. And yeah, we're excited and looking forward to seeing some excellent applications from entrepreneurs across Ontario throughout this process. And I'll get to some questions in a minute here as well, but if you have any feedback on today's session, we're quite keen to hear any feedback you have. And so please provide us with any feedback on the event by filling out the survey that will be sent in the chat there in a moment. There it is. Let us know what you think about the session. And if you yourself could be an investor in the room today, or you know any investors interested in participating, we are also accepting information about applying for being an investor in the program too. And so always happy to chat to anybody that could be interested in joining as an investor. And so I'll take a look here in the question box to see a few questions. And so feel free to throw some more questions that you have, and we'll get to those. So I see a question here. Can we apply to both challenge programs, women-led in Ontario, if we are eligible? So that's a fantastic question. For those of you in the audience, you may or may not know, we have a couple of programs going on this fall. One is our Ontario Impact Investor Challenge, and we're also running a women-led Impact Investor Challenge. This is a national challenge specifically for women-led businesses across Canada. And so if you are a woman-led business based in Ontario, you could qualify for both challenges. I would encourage you to apply for both. And when our teams are going through and selecting which companies should go into which cohort, we'll make sure that you're considered for both. And feel free to put down if you have any particular preference between those as well. Isaac is asking here, is the 12-week program in person or online or hybrid? Great question. And so the program is mostly online. You'll get access to an online learning system, what we call our LMS, learning management system, that has a lot of information there on investment readiness to help you through the process. You'll also get access to just some coaching time with our team members to help you get ready. And the 2-hour weekly sessions will be primarily online. Because it is a regional challenge based in Ontario, a couple of the weekly sessions will likely be hybrid or in person. And so great chance to connect with some of the investors and the companies in person as well. Any of the chances to connect in person, there will be a hybrid option in the case where maybe you live in Northern Ontario or somewhere quite far where it's not possible for you to join virtually. But there will be a couple of sessions where we really hope to have everybody get together in person, and the rest will be mostly online. Harrison is asking, do you have a breakdown of investor types? They're looking for Web3 oriented. And so, yeah, great question. In terms of our investor personas, of course, like we said, we typically have somewhere between 15 to 30 angel investors participating in the program. And so these angel investors, some of them are investors that are doing this for the first time, and they're non-accredited investors. And so they might have an experience more in a professional setting in consulting, finance, investment banking. They might have built out a business or a couple of businesses and done well as an entrepreneur and are now looking to get into investing and see what the other side of the table is like. Some are more experienced angel investors that have invested into quite a few companies and are looking to learn a little bit more about impact, see what more of the local deal flow is like. And so they might have more specific expertise, like we saw in our health challenge around healthcare. Some might be a little bit more focused in climate tech, clean tech, and so they'll all have a little bit of their specialties here. We do have some more traditional tech investors that might have Web3 experience, but a lot of the investors in the program have a bit more of that impact lens, and so they're really looking to explore impact investing a little bit more. The investor cohorts we're actively recruiting for at the same time as the companies. And so those 15 top companies will find out who the investors are in the program when the program begins. And as we run our impact investor challenges, each challenge has a different group of angel investors. And so that's how we've trained over 160 angel investors to date. It's because each group of companies comes in with a new group of investors as well. Mark is asking any preference as to the SDGs. And so we don't have any preference. This challenge is a sector agnostic challenge. Some of our challenges are focused on clean tech, healthcare, gender lens. Some of them might be focused in the future around financial inclusion, circular economy. And so when we run those more specific programs, that's when we have, of course, more preferences around which SDGs you're aligned to. For this challenge specifically, we'll actually be diversifying a little bit of what we're seeing in the cohort. And so we'd love to see a representation across a number of the different SDGs throughout the cohort. Kay here is asking, what is the deadline for the Women's Challenge? And so the entrepreneur deadline application for the Women-led Impact Investor Challenge, the National Challenge, is towards the beginning of September. Selena can share here in the chat the application form for the Women-led Challenge as well. That'll take you to that application that you can fill out if you qualify for that one. I'll leave a few moments in case any new questions are popping in. I don't see any more in the box here. I do see a question from Adrian in the chat. When are decisions made? How soon will we find out? And so you can see here on the next steps, we'll be announcing the top 15 companies that are selected for the program around September 23rd. And so typically within a week or two after the application deadline is when we'll be able to let you know which companies are selected to participate. And the first orientation session will be September 28th. Perfect. Fantastic. Milad is asking, what type of traction are you looking to have from the startups? And so, of course, baseline, we're looking for you to be incorporated. We're looking for you to be at that pre-seed seed stage. And so where you're ready to raise your first round or your second round of capital. Because this is a sector agnostic program, your companies might look slightly at different stages depending on the industry that you're in. And so if you are a digital or technology company, we'll likely look to see that you're at least MVP, you're potentially launched with early revenue, but really looking to scale that out. If you are more of a device company, we might look to see that you have some early pilots and that you're testing and iterating at that point. So we're looking for some sort of validation, but of course it's still quite an early stage company. We might look for things like university partnerships, signals in terms of what mentors or advisors you have on the team. And so you can kind of get an assessment of what we might be looking for in companies in your industry by taking a look at some of the past winners and participants in the challenge that would be in the same industry that you're joining from. Question here, does the program assist with creating impact measurement methods? And so in terms of the impact measurement piece, we typically find that companies at this pre-seed seed stage that are impact focused have a sense of where their impact lies. They've thought in their head a little bit about their impact models, but they haven't necessarily mapped out all of their impact measurement. They haven't mapped out their theory of change, which is sometimes also just referred to as an impact model. And so we help walk them through some of those topics and think about those pieces. Investors at this stage are looking for, some sort of thought that's going into those models, but they're not looking for you to have a perfect theory of change or measurement model or method yet. That's typically what we see at that next institutional level of impact investors. And so our team will help to walk you through what some of those measurement methods could look like, what some of the models are, like theory of change, to help you map those out. At this stage, what we're hoping to see from you is that you have a sense of how you're aligned with impact, what your focus is within that, and that you can align yourself to some of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And so throughout the program, you'll have a chance to learn about some of those models. Our team is happy to chat with you one-on-one throughout that. And there's also opportunities if you're really looking for hands-on support to dig into that a little bit more. Our team is happy to see where we can support with that too. Tony's asking, can one company be accepted into multiple challenges if you qualify for both? Likely we won't have the same company participating in both challenges. The reason being is because as a company, you are joining the weekly sessions, and we expect that your team member joins the weekly sessions each session. We also there will be some extra time outside of the weekly sessions where you'll be meeting with the investors for going through Q&A. And so being a part of both sessions is likely a little bit time intensive for you as an entrepreneur who's also trying to build out your business, who's also likely trying to find other investors. And so for the sake of using your time to the best extent, we'll likely only admit each company into one program. You'll also get access to the same alumni base. And so our spring teams, our community, and our alumni base, no matter which Impact Investor Challenge you're a part of, will be the same. So you'll get access to those same opportunities without being a direct participant of two programs that are going on at once in terms of the Impact Investor Challenges. Isaac's asking, if we're an overseas team but incorporated in Ontario, would it matter if our traction partners and revenue are outside of Ontario? And so if your company is incorporated in Ontario, but right now your team members are overseas or working from elsewhere, that is okay. We will want to see some sense of your company having an impact in Canada. And so whether that be plans for growing your revenue or the work that you're doing within Canada, having your impact model being a bit more focused in Canada, we'll want to see some of that focus. If all of your operations are global and you're all based globally, but you're incorporated in Canada, it may not be the best fit for the program. But if you're incorporated in Ontario, your team is overseas, and you do have some work that's being done within Ontario or future plans to scale within Ontario, that's definitely something we would consider and would qualify. Caroline's asking, are the same investors participating in the female in Ontario cohort for the most part? So these will be entirely different groups of investors. And so the Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge will have a cohort of about 25 investors, and the Ontario Challenge will have a cohort of about 25 investors as well. And these investors will be entirely different. And similar to the entrepreneurs, most of the investors go through similar content in the challenges and also have to dedicate the time to really digging through the due diligence process and showing up to the weekly sessions. So we don't find that investors join multiple cohorts that are running at the same time. However, they all then become alumni of the program and would have a chance to invest into either the Women-Led winner or the Ontario winner, regardless of what cohort they're a part of. So the investor groups will be different for the different programs. Omar's asking, the weekly sessions are for all of the co-founders or just one can represent the company? And so we ask that you choose one of the co-founders to represent the company throughout the program. So that will be the main point of contact that is expected to really be the face and the voice of the company throughout the program. We do typically find that it is the CEO or main co-founder. Sometimes there will be throughout the Q&A portion of when the company is going through the due diligence process with the investors and the investors are asking questions. There might be days where they want to dig more into the technical questions or into other questions within the business where you'll want to pull in different team members depending on their expertise and focus area to help answer those questions. And so we do ask typically that you have the one main co-founder that's the representative of the business, but there may be a session or two where it's possible for you to have another team member to join this session as well. Cam is asking, could an entrepreneur attend the online session as an auditor, not currently submitting a request, but learning the ropes? And so the online sessions are reserved solely for the companies that are in the top 15, and so the companies that are in the program. However, at Spring, we do also run investment readiness programs. And so we have programs that are specifically around about 5-week-long programs that are for companies looking to prepare for their fundraising round or that are actively fundraising and are looking for some guidance and support on that process. And so this is just a shorter 5-week program that really provides online content and workshop series to help you get there. It's not linked to investors, so there isn't a cohort of investors and guaranteed money at the end of it, but it really helps to set you up for that stage. And so if you're not currently looking to submit a request to raise capital, our investment readiness programs are likely the best fit for you. And the best way to learn about those, feel free to email our team or subscribe to our newsletter, and then you'll see any opportunities for upcoming investment readiness programs as well. Fantastic. And I see a question here in the chat from Samantha around our Impact Startup Visa program. Selena, maybe you could just throw an email in the chat for Samantha that she can contact to learn more about the Startup Visa program too. So the Startup Visa program is another program that we run here at Spring that we won't be talking about today. Today we'll be talking about our Impact Investor Challenges. We've blown through quite a few questions, but I'll leave space in case there's any more that are coming through as well. Great. So not seeing any new questions here. And so just a quick refresher, company application deadline, September 16th. Apply on the website. Feel free to email me or Selena if you have any other questions about the program for the Ontario Impact Investor Challenge, as well as the Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge. As I said, anybody that could be an investor in the room as well. We're also taking investor applications. The program itself, the first orientation is at the end of September, and then the program itself will kick off mid-October. Your company, there's a question here around, is only one founder not enough? Should there be 2 people? And so I'm assuming this is if your company itself only has one founder right now, and you're a solo founder team, that's absolutely acceptable. Of course, we'll look at the team and see in terms of time commitment and whether we think the experience is there with the one founder. But we don't have any rules against accepting solo founder teams. So feel free to apply, and we'll definitely consider your application for sure. Great question. In the question box here, what days and times are the virtual meetings during the week, or is that decided after acceptance? And so this program itself is on Wednesdays. And the time will be 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. So, of course, those of you in Ontario, Eastern time, 3 to 5 p.m. on Wednesdays. And another question, where can we apply for the investment readiness programs? Great question. And so feel free to shoot us an email, Kristen@spring.is or Selena@spring.is, and we'll keep you in the loop about any upcoming investment readiness programs. Depending on where you're based, let us know as well. That depends on which regional programs might be available to you. Also subscribe to our newsletter, and there we'll release any upcoming investment readiness programs, as well as the application forms and deadlines for those coming up too. Great. I think we've worked our way through the questions again. There is a little box at the bottom of your screen that says provide feedback. Would love if you could just fill that out. Let us know how you enjoyed today's session. Hopefully we were able to help answer any questions you have about the program, whether you're a good fit for the program and interested in applying. The webinar today is recorded, and so we'll be sending out a recording to all of you that registered in case you need anything to refer back to. But appreciate you all joining here today, and thank you for taking the time to come and chat with us. And thank you to Selena for running the back of the house for today's session. Appreciate you all joining, and hope to see all of you apply for the Ontario Impact Investor Challenge, and looking forward to a fantastic program. Take care.